Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Scaling Brokerage podcast. Today, James has been kind enough to bless us with some of his time. So I'll kick it off right to James. I'll let him tell us a little bit about himself and his business.
James Marble. I'm in Diamond Head, Mississippi, and I'm the broker owner of Exit Coastal Gateway Realty in Diamond Head, Mississippi, which is just a small coastal Mississippi town outside of Bay St. Louis, about an hour from New Orleans. And we opened up our doors March 12th of 2020.
Oh man, right in the heart of it.
Right in the next day after we opened our doors, they were shutting everything down because of COVID.
Oh man.
Yeah, we had our grand opening, our ribbon cutting, and all of that, and we had about 125, 140 people that were RSVP'd to join us for our grand opening ceremony, and I think 75 people showed up because they started kind of getting nervous about everything that was going on. And
yeah,
of course, the next couple of days, everything went, virtual only. And, we got deemed to be essential. So we were allowed to work. But, for the most part, people didn't want to come into the office. And, it had some inherent challenges for your first year opening your offices.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's probably one of the strangest times since maybe 2008 when we had kind of the crash and on the real estate side. Coming into the market literally days before everything shuts down and people kind of go into panic. How did you deal with that? Personally, like from being a business owner, just starting your business and kind of that being the first step. And then how did you deal with it? Kind of down the road as things kind of open back up and everything.
We dealt with it. We were pretty much. I think we were pretty ready for it. Tell you the honest truth, because we already were utilizing Zoom. We were already utilizing Google Meet. We were already utilizing a lot of digital tools anyway. I started in the tech sector in 1997, and I've worked with tech since. I mean, so jumping into a virtual world, and all of our documents are now remote documents with software. Everything's done remotely. So I think in a lot of ways, being a newer office and with having a lot of the newer technology already at our fingertips, we were already there. Absolutely. We were ready for it in a lot of ways. It didn't really interrupt a lot of things. Now, it did interrupt things like recruiting. We'd have to set meetings. We'd have to keep our distance. You couldn't go schedule a lunch meeting or a coffee meeting or, a big group meeting. You couldn't do those things. So really drove us to be very one-on-one. And from my background, I really like to get to know the agents that I'm going to be bringing into my office for, the cultural reason.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All of those different reasons. I like to get to really know them. So it really drove home that one-on-one. It really pushed it into the forefront in our minds, and kind of facing that dilemma. It gave us the opportunity to really put together some trainings, some webinars, and really do some things, not just remotely, but even in the office, just, small, low key, not open to the public meetings. And I think in our first year, we grew from just me and one or two agents to, I think we had 4 or 5 by the end of the first year of agents. And a lot of our agent recruiting in that time came from the agents going out and telling people, hey, you got to meet this guy. He just opened, but you got to come see what he's doing and come talk to him and see what he's got to say. And and I took my time with everybody that came on board. So a lot of the people that came on board when I first opened, of those 5, I think 3 of those 5 are still with me 5 years later.
Oh man, and that speaks volumes. You know what we're doing. You know, not only for the agents, you know, in their business, but in their personal lives as well. I'm sure, you know, giving them that confidence to, you know, continue to come out and work. You know, the real estate market, especially, you know, when they joined up with you, it was kind of a uncertain year. And then we have, you know, our settlements and everything this year that kind of makes, you know, some more uncertainty for a while there. So how can you touch on that? How were you able to kind of, you know, in that time period where, you know, we didn't know when things are going to open back up, and how were you still able to recruit and kind of set yourself apart to those agents there?
You know, I like I said, my agents I brought on actually helped quite a bit. A lot of the agents I brought on in my first year were brand new agents, had never worked in the industry before. And they knew people from the real estate school when they were there. They knew other people that were real estate agents that they had worked with. 1 or 2 of them had been at other brokerages right out of real estate school and had come over to my brokerage after being with a couple of different other brands. And, you know, they just basically went back to people they knew that were maybe struggling a little bit with the way things were going, because a lot of the other offices maybe didn't have that ability. They weren't agile enough to make that transition over to a new way of doing things. And because we had a lot of those processes already in place, we were able to keep people going and keep people busy. So you know, so they left the brokerage and they came over to my office and they were still working. And whereas a lot of these other ones weren't getting anything, no news, no training, no webinars, no, you know, what do I do? How do I do it? Where do I go? A lot of the brokers were, you know, they were like, well, hold on, we got to figure this out. Well, we already were there. We were already kind of that one step in. So we kind of had that edge of, the technology already being in place, already being utilized. So it was really a good selling point for those agents to say, you know, we're still working and we haven't missed a beat, we haven't missed a step. And, you know, we just moved right into this transition of this new way of doing things. And, you know, I try to make sure I let my agents know you've got to find your niche. You've got to find what you like to do. You got to figure out where you want to be. Because there's 1,000,001 ways to make money working in the real estate industry. It's not always just about selling houses. You know, you can do broker price opinions for people. You can do property inspections. You can do so many different things. And, you know, in our region, one of the awards I won my first year was most average transactions per agent for an office. And I won 3rd place my first year in the business as a broker, owner, operator.
Oh man.
And it was 13.5 transactions per agent.
Oh man, that is really good. I mean, they're doing 1 a month, over 1 a month.
Yeah. And that was per agent. My second year, we went to 17.5 transactions per agent and grew from the 5 of us, 4 or 5, I can't remember. It was 4 or 5 of us, but from the 4 or 5 of us, we grew to 15.
Oh man.
In 2021. And we won first place that year with 17.5 per agent, which to me, you give me a top producer award, give me a, you know, that's all relative, because, you know, you can set that bar to whatever you think top producer really is. You know, to me as the broker owner, winning that award for the office, to me was much more valuable, because that means I'm keeping everybody busy. It wasn't that one agent was pulling in 50. It was every agent was pulling in a good number. And then of course you've got your 80-20 rule, because you've got 80% of your business is done by 20% of your agents. So you've got a couple of agents that are surpassing the averages.
Yeah.
But every agent was closing something.
And that's
And
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah,
Well, if you keep them busy, you're keeping them around. That's for sure, right?
well, and you know, and I think a lot of us lose sight of what really kind of keeps agents with you is that loyalty to them. And without our agents in our offices, we wouldn't have offices.
Yeah.
So even when I'm at my busiest and I'm pulling in a lot of clientele, there's a lot of times I will take an agent that maybe needs a little bit of a boost, needs a little bit of something to get them moving and motivated.
Yeah.
And I'll give them one of my listings and co-list with them and go, okay, look, you're in charge. It's yours. Take it. And I'll put my name on the back end of it. But hey, look, you work the listing, you work the phones, you work the advertising, you work this, and you know, you didn't have to work really hard to get it. But at the same time, it gives them that confidence boost of, I can do this. I can list a house.
Yeah.
I can sell a house. And, you know, and look, take the leads that come from it. Because we all know a sign in the yard can mean 3 or 4 or 5 phone calls that we could possibly get.
No, I have.
Each one of those sign calls can turn into 2 or 3 more transactions as you develop relationships with people. You're going to develop more and more business. The busier you are, the more business comes in your door. And that really builds that confidence level for them. Because I harp heavily on, don't look at it as a mountain, look at it as the steps that you have to take to climb the mountain. But so you got to always start with that first step. What's number 1? What do we got to do number 2? What do we got to do number 3? And then take all of those steps. And eventually, once you've taken all the steps, you've climbed the mountain all the way to the top. And it, really is about taking that first step. Because I think we all get a little hung up sometimes on overthinking things and worrying about things that are beyond our control. I mean, what's the worst somebody's going to say to you when you call them? No.
Yeah.
They're going to say no.
Absolutely.
And the best thing that they're going to say is yes. So pick up the phone and you're going to hear 400 no's. And then eventually at some point, you're going to hear a yes.
Yeah. Makes all the no's worth it for sure.
Well, yeah, because I mean, one yes is worth a whole lot more than every no you received. And every time you hear a no, you get an opportunity to learn from why someone told you no.
Absolutely.
Your approach might have been a little off. This might have been a little off. Let's build a relationship before we head into a sales call. Let's try to get to know who they are, what they are, and those things before we inundate somebody with trying to sell them on my services of what we're going to do for them. Absolutely. And friends like to hire friends, and they usually try not to fire their friends. And I use that term kind of loosely because I mean, we're not going out and having parties and drinks and everything with all of our clientele, but if you've got a good relationship with people, I've got clients I've had for 3 or 4 or 5 years that, they'll call me up. Hey, I'm out of town and my dog sitter kind of welched on me. Can you run over and let my dogs out? Can you go make sure my dogs are fed? And yeah, of course, no problem. I'll do it. I'll take care of it. I love your dogs. And, we develop that type of relationship where they know they can pick up the phone. And if it's a real estate question or, hey, I need your help. Do you have this tool that I can borrow? Then they know I'm going to be there to provide that for them. And I try to do that not only with my clients, but with my agents as well. As a broker owner, you're not just a broker owner of an office. You are a psychologist. You're a kid psychologist. You're all of those things to your agents, because if they trust you, they are going to pick up the phone and call you and ask you questions that aren't necessarily just business related. They're going to develop that relationship with you where they trust you enough that you know what's going on in every aspect of their lives, and they want your advice. They want your help. You become somewhat of a friend and mentor to them.
Yeah.
And you turn your listening ears on, and you have that kind of servant relationship with your agents and your friends and your family of agents, and it pays dividends. It honestly does.
I have no way. I couldn't agree. Though, building those relationships and fostering those relationships as we go. That's a huge part of being an agent, a broker, being in almost any industry that may have, where we can kind of get those referrals, get friends and family involved as well. Being that that person for them where they can call, they feel like they can reach out to you no matter what they have, goes a long way. When they're when they hear a friend talking about, oh, I'm looking at getting a house, you're going to James. They're gonna tell them they're not gonna get taken care of anywhere. So I know that goes a long way for agents and brokers, kind of all combined there. But let's dive into the recruiting side a little bit. I know you touched on a little bit. Do you do anything on like attracting agents? Do you guys have like someone cold calling, anything like that?
We've done a lot of different things. I tried a lot of different things. I've put recruiting websites out. I've put Google ads out. I've put a lot of those different things. I've hosted events, and recruiting is always very tough.
Yeah.
Recruiting newer agents that are fresh out of school or maybe in their first 1 or 2 years in the business is not always the problem, but we do have an attrition within our industry where 15% of agents make it to year 5. And that's always tough. It's always very tough that things happen. Our markets ebb, they flow, sales ebb and flow. But recruiting new agents, it's always been, going to the schools, getting the names, getting the emails, sending them information, and they will reach out to you. We've struggled with recruiting more experienced agents, and a lot of our agents in our area that are with a company for 3, 5, 6 years or more, they're not likely to leave where they are. So that has been a struggle. We have recruited some experienced agents, and what I've found is it's got to be it can't, not that it can't, but it makes it very difficult to recruit those agents if you're not doing it yourself in person as the broker owner. If they get a phone call to schedule an appointment from a phone setter service, they're not gonna bite on that. I've had people like call me and say, hey, I got a call from so and so at this office, but it was one of those phone setter services to set an appointment to go have coffee. Why would a broker not reach out to me directly? It kind of, because of where we are, I think it's the area that we live in. They want to see it person to person. If you're trying to get my business, I want you to get my business. I want you to get in here and really do those things. So recruiting in our area for the more experienced agents is very labor intensive. It's very relationship based. A lot of times when we have recruited experienced agents, it's been because they worked a transaction with us and they said, oh, wow, look, I worked with your agent and she's only been an agent for like 2 years and we didn't have any problems. We didn't have any delays. We didn't have anything that happened. They knew exactly what to do and when to do it. And all the documents are always filled out right. Why? And it's like, well, that's because we take that time. We learn those things. I review documents with my agents constantly. We do a lot of collaboration. We do a lot of sharing. I can access every agent's documents as they're preparing them. and we work together on those things. When we work together to make sure we can figure out a way to get a deal to close.
Yeah.
And, what's the best option for everyone involved. And, let's get it. We all have the same goal. Let's get it to closing and keep that mindset. Don't keep this mindset of, let's keep trying to negotiate even at the closing table.
Yeah.
So let's not kill the deal, but let's get everybody the best deal that we can possibly get and move forward. And, it makes a big difference when you've got the right mindset, you've got the right attitude, you've got the right, and I'll say it again, it's kind of that servant leadership, that servant mentality of wanting to help your clients and your agents and everybody else in the office at the same time as try to make some money and live. I tell my agents all the time, and now of course that it's not published any longer, but I used to tell my agents all the time, don't even look at what the commission rates are. Don't look at that. Don't worry about the pennies. Don't worry about the commission. Don't worry about the money end of it. Because when you get to where you're closing 2 or 3 a month, it's not going to matter. Don't follow the pennies, watch the dollars, and they'll just keep following in. And you'll be successful as long as you're worried more about what your client's needs are than your own. And it really pays dividends. So when other agents see that and they come to my agents and say, oh, hey, you did a great job. Why don't you come join my office? And they go, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, why not? I've got all these things I can offer you. The grass is so much greener. And I'm not going anywhere. Well, why not? Well, because of my broker. I'm not leaving my broker. Really? Yeah, I'm not leaving my broker. And when I work with other brokers and other agents, they realize that there's a difference when they deal with someone that is looking out for everybody involved.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just to piggyback off that, I know the point I made last time, but yeah, it goes a long way with them. Knowing that you're here for them, you care for them, and actually want to see the best, not only in their business life, but in their personal life as well. That's huge to have, and having a mentor and a coach and owner of the company. So that definitely I know provides an extra level of security. And that's especially if they've been somewhere else, that's not something that they want to lose. Once they have it. And that was all very helpful. What would you say, as we kind of head down the road here, what would you say, where's your brokerage headed? Where is it? What's kind of the next step for you guys there?
We're going to keep scaling. We're going to keep trying to kind of work on a lot of the issues that we've been facing, and we're trying to devise some newer strategies to overcome some of those issues, and trying to get kind of ironed out. We've looked at a lot of different things, and it's just trying to figure out which one is the right path to go down. On the brokerage level, bringing in only new agents, the positive to that is I can train them, I can teach them, I can lead them, guide them, and direct them. The con side to that is that's very expensive for a brokerage, because that's a lot of my time that I have to utilize to keep them motivated, moving, going forward. And it takes a good 6, 8, 9, 10 months to really get somebody properly trained. So that's expensive. The pros to bringing in an agent that's already producing are so high that they're bringing in a book of business, they're bringing in the existing business. So it's developing which system is the right system, which way is the right way, what's going to bring them in, is it what motivates those top producers to come on board. And we do a lot with personality types and things like that, but that's been one of our biggest obstacles. And I think because of kind of the environment we're in, I think we've got a lot of wait and see. What are we going to do? How is the economy going to go? What's going to change? What's going to go forward? There's a lot of shakeup in our industry at this time. So I think it's not just a wait and see motive, but it is kind of a, developing that right system to get in place and in front of people and just keep growing. Not just in agent count, but we want to grow in transaction counts for the current agents, and we want to grow in all of those different things. So we're developing more and more systems every day and adapting to changing landscapes and trying to adapt some of our newer technology things to old school things where we can get in front of people and really, show them that we're here for them and able to work with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my favorite questions kind of in closing there, or in closing here, if you were going to rebuild, going to start over, go back to, 2020 there, would you do anything differently, or would you have any advice for someone that's maybe getting started in today's market?
Be careful spending money on the bright and shiny objects. It just you get folks that call you and they're selling you on a service, and it's sometimes if it sounds really, really great, maybe it's, it may sound really good, but sometimes maybe it's not 100%. You have to kind of be careful about, what you spend, where you spend it.
Absolutely.
And, I probably, if I were to go back and do it again, I would probably focus more on growth than just on the marketing and the marketing tools. And I mean, because you get, we're going to do SEO for you, and we're going to do Facebook posts for you, and we're gonna manage your Instagram, and we're gonna manage this, and we're gonna manage that, and then you sign up for it, and they start doing it, and then it's good for a little while, and it helps a little bit, but it doesn't. Those things sometimes aren't the things that you need to focus on. You have to focus more on really getting your message out and getting it in front of as many people as you can possibly get it in front of, and try to get that done in a more personal way than the digital way. Of course, having opened in 2020, there was only one way to get your message out. It was, that was it. And so I spent a lot of money trying to get my message out through different services, different ways, means. And not that it wasn't good money that got spent, but in a lot of ways, I think I would have, if I were to do it again, I probably would try to do it in a more personal, face-to-face manner with more people than trying to get it out just digitally. I think it goes a lot further to people to see you, shake your hand, meet you, and really get to know you on a one-on-one basis versus your digital footprint.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And definitely helps set us apart, create that gap from, the other brokerages that aren't doing that, aren't getting in front of the agent, aren't, showing them exactly how, we can help, how we can, provide value to their lives, to their careers, how we can help them take that next step. And it's someone in your place, or someone, like overseas calling them, telling them, that same message. It might get lost, as far as, maybe not having the right verbiage, not, sounding like, sounding like yourself. So it's definitely is a huge tool in almost any market. Is being that, being active, getting in front of them, or, if we can't put someone in place, then giving them the power to get in front of them and kind of share that same message.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and also, so I want to let the people know where can they find you if they're looking for a new brokerage, maybe just looking to get connected. Maybe they're in a similar market there, or maybe they're just close by. Where can they find you at?
We have a recruiting, like I said, we have a recruiting website. It's www.joinexitcgr.com. There's a lot of really good information about Exit Realty and about Exit Coastal Gateway Realty there. A lot of educational tools, budgeting tools, things like that for agents that they can kind of see the difference of being within the Exit footprint, and they can get in touch with me through that recruiting website. It's a pretty robust website. It does quite a bit, but they can get in touch with me through that. And I'm one of the few brokers that I know that is usually available anytime. And I try to take my time and really get to know people before I recruit them into my office. And so I encourage anybody to look us up on the web at that address and reach out to me and talk to me. And I truly do. If this goes out to people in other places, I do truly try to help people within our industry, not just within our office. So even with people that aren't with our company or with our office, if they have questions or if they need help, that's a great way to reach out to me too. If they need anything that can help them, even if they need kind of a inspiration partner, somebody to kind of call them and fire them up every once in a while. That's, we all need something from somebody at some point, or to hear something from somebody that can kind of get us out of whatever rut we might be in. Because, we get pulled in a lot of different directions every day as brokers and owners. And, it's good to have somebody that knows where we're at to just talk to and say, what did you do in this situation? So, we're out there, and, they can just, like I said, that website will get them to me directly.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. We'll make sure it'll be linked down below in the comments, guys. So you heard him. He's got the best ability too. He's got availability. So you heard him, available 24/7. We'll have everything listed down below there. If you guys like to get in contact him, if you're in his market, or spread out anywhere as well, love to get in touch. But thank you so much, James, for coming out today. Appreciate you, like I said before, blessing us with some of your time here today on a nice Wednesday morning. And I appreciate you coming out.
And we are licensed in Louisiana and Mississippi, so we service southern Mississippi and southeastern Louisiana.
Okay, great. And sorry, I thought you'd mentioned that in the beginning, and I didn't know if I didn't jot it down. So I apologize. But you heard it now in Louisiana, Mississippi. Locate anywhere in there. Give James a call. Get connected with him here.